You're about to listen to Kelly Martin Speaks. I'm your host Kelly, and the author of When Everyone Shines But You, a mental health and self-acceptance blogger and a recovering darkness addict. I have experienced intense anxiety, deep depression and life trauma, but I'm coming out of the other side now. Darkness was a comfort zone for me for a long time, and it felt safer than the light. So in this podcast I share with you my journey into the light and how I move through challenge in an empowering way. I'll share with you tools and nurturing ways to embrace your humanity. I was once a shy, scared introvert, afraid to speak, but that's all changing. Let's take this journey together and learn to fly. Hi there, welcome back to Kelly Martin Speaks. This is episode 61 and I'm your host Kelly Martin. Today I'm going to talk about relationships and specifically the fairy tale in relationships. And this was drawn to my attention this week when I was talking to my best friend. And I knew that as a woman, many of us can be brainwashed into this happily ever after relationship. We get told by society, by our culture, by the movie industry, by magazines, by books, that there is this man on a horse that's going to come and rescue us. And even though we know this, how insane this is, so many of us have been brainwashed into this story. And this is not just for women. Men have been indoctrinated into believing that they're there to rescue women also. They're going to come in on their white horse and save the day. And the problem comes in because of this brainwashing, because of this conditioning, we all have this mental picture of what our ideal mate or partner will be. And we believe that they're going to tick all of the boxes. But the reality is that when we do meet our potential partner who ticks many of those boxes, we tend to overlook the unticked ones. And we assume that they tick all of them. Now, this is what happens in the beginning of a relationship, and it's called the honeymoon period. The fairy tale. When you meet someone and you fall hopelessly in love with them, it could be you're completely mesmerized by the way they look, or how they sound, or how they smell even. And you get lost in that. You have rose-colored spectacles in the beginning, especially when you're becoming intimate with someone. More so for women, we tend to have all these endorphins and feelings that come up, and they last for quite a long time after we've made love to a partner or whoever it is in your life. So we're walking around in this relationship all mushy and all loved up. And then the problem comes in when the honeymoon period comes to an end. And that is when we start to see the unticked boxes, the ones we didn't see as our ideal. This can come in the shape or form of maybe the way they behave is not great. Maybe we've realized that we can't really trust them. It could be as simple as we realize we're not as attracted to them as we thought we were, or we are still attracted to them, but they don't tick all the other boxes, so we kind of focus on those unticked boxes. And this is when our fairy tale begins to crumble. And this is when reality steps in. But even though we know this, we can still carry this ideal image in our mind. We may be consciously aware that the fairy tales are not real and not everyone's perfect and This ideal doesn't exist. And we still think that we'll be happy when the princess or the white knight comes into our lives. And we stop recognizing the good in the other person. We don't appreciate the ticked boxes. We focus on the lack. We focus on the unticked boxes, the real or the often imagined flaws. Instead, if we want to be happy in a world of opposites, we must release the fairy tale. We must accept reality. We've got to start accepting that we both have flaws, and that the differences are of value as teaching tools, or as reflections of ourselves, or as a way of appreciating the ticked boxes, because they offer a comparison between what we like and what we don't like. And without this contrast, we wouldn't appreciate what we've got. And if we really think about it, if we could have the fairy tale, we'd probably die of boredom. You think about it, perfection is another form of death. And without change, there is no experience. Without the bad times, we can't appreciate the good. Now, I'll give you an example of this. Say you're with a partner and you're feeling really attracted to them during that honeymoon period, and that ends. And then you suddenly start focusing on your imagined flaws you see in them. And this is because you're so fixated on the unconscious desire of that perfect man or woman to tick all of those boxes. So instead of having Prince Charming or the princess, you could have Rumpelstiltskin or the evil queen. But maybe that Rumpelstiltskin is the very man that you're meant to be with. Perhaps he's come into your life to help you embrace your own perceived flaws and to accept that the fairy tale is not ideal. It's like dreaming of a future, believing that that future utopian society will bring you every type of peace and serenity that you've always wanted. But in reality, you know that you can't know joy or peace or love. You can't know any of these feelings without feeling frustration, sadness, anger. You simply can't know one without the other. So how is your life right now? Are you dreaming of this fairy tale relationship? Are you really clear about what you want and what you need? Are you in a relationship and have you come out of the honeymoon period? Is the fairy tale starting to crumble? And maybe you're kind of leaping into an old pattern where you think, well, this person doesn't tick all my boxes. They mustn't be the right person. So that's it, I'm going to leave this person. Is your fight or flight kicking in? And is this a pattern for you? Is this something you've done quite a lot of? Perhaps you need to stay together and connect during this non-honeymoon period and see what it is it can teach you. What is it you can gain from finding what you love and appreciate in this other human being? Are you able to focus on what you love and appreciate, or are you still focusing on what's lacking in it? Maybe you will meet someone in the future that ticks more of those boxes. Maybe you won't. And all you have is right now. So all you can do is focus on what you have right now. What can you gain from it? Are you in it so you can learn to open your heart more, to be vulnerable, to show people who you truly are. And by doing so, giving yourself permission to be authentically human. And by doing this, your whole world will be open up. Maybe you've got to be intimate with somebody who is going to give you what you need, not necessarily what you want. And this is all we can do in relationships. We can kind of unravel and peel away that which is not working and to understand where we're coming from and why. And from that place, anything is possible. Who knows what life has in store for you? But you don't know until you go through that period of the non-fairy tale. Who are you without the fairy tale? And thanks for listening to another episode of Kelly Martin Speaks. This is quite a short one this week, primarily because my neighbour started drilling right next to me, so I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm going to stop now and I'll get back to you next week. Until next time, bye for now. You've been listening to my podcast, Kelly Martin Speaks. I'd really appreciate your feedback. If you're listening on iTunes, please give me a review. It helps me be seen and heard by those that need it. You can also follow me on kellymartinspeaks.co.uk, where you can read my blogs, find out about my book series, and subscribe to my monthly newsletter. I'm also all over social media, so search for me via Kelly Martin Speaks on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.